Well, it's time for another exercise with respect to VLOOKUP. And trust me, this is going to test all the concepts that we have talked about since beginning with VLOOKUP. Okay, so let me talk about the business side of the problem. I have a trial balance which just gives me the year-end balances of various accounts of assets, liabilities, income and expense accounts. And in this case, I have account code assigned to various line items. For example, leasehold land is represented by 4131 in the system, and at the end of 31st March 2011 it has a balance of 14.5 million. What you see as numbers in brackets are actually the negative numbers, so all credits. So if I just scroll across, just have a quick overview, you'll notice various items like depreciation, charges, receivables, loans, service tax, etc. So if I just scroll to the end part of this trial balance, one thing quickly that I can check is if I use the shortcut key Alt equal to at the last cell, it will quickly give me the total of all the plus and the minus, and that should be equal to 0. Yeah, so all debits equal to credits. So that was the just basic overview of the database that we will be working on. The problem lies when I have selected some account codes randomly from this given list of account codes. I've selected some. Now I would want to look at their balances. I want to pull their balance amount from the third column of the table. So for example, 4420 in my database, it is represented by factory buildings and it has a balance of 29.8 million. So I would want that 29.8 million out here. So let me begin with the VLOOKUP. Now before every problem, let me go inside the logic of VLOOKUP. Why VLOOKUP? Just like last time. One, I have one thing common, that is account code. That account code is given vertically in my table array. So hence VLOOKUP. So I'm pushing a formula equal to VL, pressing the tab key, lookup value. From our earlier example of the bat, my friend, he would perhaps want to look at this. Okay, table array. Now you may start choosing from the first cell using a shortcut key. So if I select the first cell, the one that is blinking, and if I press shift control, keep it pressed, once press the right arrow key, and then keeping shift control press, let me press the down arrow key. In this way I've been able to select the entire table array. You will also notice that in the formula bar the selection has been made. Now from our earlier instance, we remember to press F4, comma. Now even though we may remember using F4 comma almost all the time in table array, one problem still exists. Let's say, let me go back a step. You would have chosen the table array. Now for a moment you forgot to use the F4 key, so you pressed a comma. At that very instance you remembered that I need to press F4, so you backspaced it. Now when you press F4, one thing very important that you would notice is only the second part of the array has been fixed, not the first part, which may spill into a problem giving you NA for various numbers. So let me ensure that I'm using F4 for the entire range, start as well as end. So let me put a comma, lookup value has been chosen, the table array has been chosen and fixed and locked. Next, the hint tells me column index number. So once this lookup value is found, let me choose and count 1, 2 and 3. That is third column specifies the amount, so column index number 3. And the last part, you need to ask yourself a question: is the table array a slab based system? Nope, it is all unique numbers which corresponds to the respective account description. Since this is not a slab, in greater than equal to format or in ascending order, I will not be using true, I will be making sure I put in a false. Enter. So 29.8 million. Let me copy paste it down. Two NAs. Okay, let me just make a bold and underline for both. Now this looks like NA, and one of the genuine reasons could be that this code may not exist in my database, and reason why I'm getting a false. Okay, now you might tell me that why not use true for that, so that we can find approximate match. If I do that true, it will definitely give me the answer, but it will not show me the exact answer, because it may happen that 66535 may not exist in the database and it is giving me some other code's answer. Same goes for 20217. So let me make sure I stick to the original logic, that if this is not a slab, let me put in a false. Okay, so keeping that in mind, let's investigate why 66135 shows up NA. Let me do one thing. Let me select column A, press Ctrl F, 66135, find next. Okay, I see on one of the rows that I have specifically made bold and underlined, it does tell me 66135. Even then, why is it not showing me the answer in my VLOOKUP formula? The solution lies in knowing that in this case, the number, the account code, is stored as text. What has happened is, the question which is asked on the top of the sheet, let me go to the top. This is stored as a number, but the ones in the main database may be stored as text. They do not match in terms of nature of their cells. Hence, VLOOKUP gave you NA. So I need to make sure that if these are all numbers, these are numbers too, so that VLOOKUP works perfectly well. So to do that, I will use one technique which is borrowed from text to column. Let me show you. Let me select 4131. Let me press Shift Control down and choose all the account codes at one go. Let me go to data. Let me click on text to column. Okay, let me double click on the tab to make it permanently visible. Now let me go to text to column, delimited. Next, let me make sure I check off all these items. I will be talking about these combinations later point in time when we specifically devote our session on text to column. Once that is done, next, now make sure this is chosen as the default value general. All you need to do is finish. Now look at the results. The moment the number versus number matches, 66135, 66135, it gives you the correct answer. Let me quickly check it though. Control F, 66135, find next, 368,000. So that's the correct answer. But given that, I still am not able to figure out why is it this giving me an NA. My VLOOKUP formula looks right, the table array has been fixed, false has been used correctly, and the number has been matched in terms of nature of the cell. So all numbers are numbers comparable. Let me find out where does 20217 exist. So Control F, 20217, enter. Oops, yeah, you got it right. This code genuinely doesn't exist in my database, and because of which I am getting an NA. Now, several professionals ask me that if I get an NA genuinely after doing all the cleaning aspect of my database, I would want that there should be a 0 out here. Now, I'm not going to hard code 0 because there could be millions of such NAs in a big data set. So I will be using one formula which has been introduced new in 2007 called IFERROR. Let me break the problem. IFERROR, it asks me to put in two things. One is the value, and if the formula which is giving you that value is an error, then what message should crop up. So this was the VLOOKUP formula. If that VLOOKUP doesn't give me the right answer, or let's say NA, what should be the message? Let's say check, closing the brackets, enter. check. Perhaps would want to check that. Now I can include that in one single formula. Let me copy the VLOOKUP, press escape. In place of F8, let me press paste, Control V. Let me drag down the formula, so I actually don't need this aspect now. Yeah. Let's say if I write a hypothetical code, it's an NA, hence please check. So that's VLOOKUP, a quick recap of all the possible combination of pitfalls, and along with that, the usage of if error. Thanks.